Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Well, yes, it's that time of the week again where it's James O'Brian and political editor for LBC, Theo Usherwoods, PMQ's post-mortem. And this week it was the Battle of the Deputies, wasn't it? Angela Rayner and Tetchy Humanoid, Dominic Deckchair Raab. And to say it was fascinating, as far as I was concerned, it's an understatement. Enjoy.
23 minutes after 12 is the time, and as the PMQs reaches the bit where MPs ask relatively banal questions about golf courses in their constituencies, we turn our attention back to the main course, which was, of course, Angela Rayner versus Dominic Raab. I think I know what the big bit there was, Theo, but I often wait to hear you confirm or deny it before I
The big bit was the bit about Yevgeny Lebedev, Lord Lebedev, and of course the decision by the Prime Minister to, the wording is quite careful in the way that Number 10 put this, but to press ahead with the decision to award Lord Lebedev a peerage,
Yes.
despite the security services raising concerns.
Which is all they can do. They have no power of veto, do they?
So then the security services raised concerns, and then they withdrew those concerns. So that enables Number 10 to say, of course, the Prime Minister didn't overrule the security services. But of course, what Angela Rayner did very effectively, if you listen carefully to what she said, she asked Dominic Raab and this was very specific, to state on the record at the dispatch box, which of course covers the ministerial code. He can't knowingly mislead the House of Commons and remain within the ministerial code, to state that the Prime Minister did not at any stage seek for the security services to withdraw their advice or seek to press ahead over the advice of what those members of the security services had provided to the House of Lords Commission. And then what Dominic Raab did in response was to describe the claims, the broader claims by Angela Rayner as quote-unquote sheer nonsense,
Yeah.
but he didn't at any point address the specific question from Angela Rayner.
Did he ignore or overrule, whatever word you prefer, the advice not to give Lebedev a peerage?
Exactly.
This is all coming from a Sunday Times story.
Yes,
which followed fast upon a lot of work done by various other journalists, which didn't achieve or receive the attention that the Sunday Times story has got because of the situation in Ukraine, including our guest earlier today, John Sweeney, and Luke Harding over at The Guardian, and of course Carol Cadwallader. But that is not going to go away, is it? This question of how did Lebedev end up with a peerage after the security services advised against it?
No, and the Sunday Times has been quite explicit in their allegations.
It's a very, very well-sourced story. Well, at least they've got the full confidence.
From the fact that actually the Prime Minister did intervene, and that Lord Lebedev obviously got his peerage at the end of 2019, at the end of 2020, and of course the Prime Minister has refused to deny that in March 2020 he did not. Well, he denied claims that he met Lord Lebedev.
It in the House. He hasn't denied that he met him, but hasn't he said? Isn't there a case that he might have said something that he may later regret about the security services role in the?
So the insistence from Number 10 is that Prime Minister
Julie
didn't
puts it very well. Says Raab denied nothing. That's the point.
Yes.
Yes.
That's Julie. Well, Julie should be able to see political editor.
Nonsense.
But that was the key exchange. And then, of course, what happened was that Dominic Raab then taxed to attacking Labour and particularly Jeremy Corbyn.
Now, here's the thing. Okay, have you heard the phrase "long Corbyn"?
Yes, I've heard it.
I only just heard it today.
And it means basically, does the ghost of Jeremy Corbyn go away in the minds of voters, or are they going to still think back to the 2019 general election? And it's interesting that Dominic Raab then brings up Jeremy Corbyn.
We should just, in the interest, before our mentions turn into a skip fire, there are still plenty of people who think that Jeremy Corbyn's catastrophic loss had absolutely nothing to do with Jeremy Corbyn, and I want those people to feel seen.
That's not going to stop your mentions turning into a skip fire, James. I think it'll probably exacerbate the situation. But the point is, of course, that Jeremy Corbyn is no longer taking the whip in the Labour whip.
He's not even a member of the Labour Party.
He is a member of the Labour Party.
Parliamentary Labour Party.
Parliamentary Labour Party.
And yet still he's considered by Conservatives to be, and they'll be basing this on focus groups and polling, to be so toxic that tying him to the current Labour leadership, who have chucked him out of the actual party, is still worth their effort and time.
But there are the receipts there in terms of what Jeremy Corbyn and Dominic Raab brings it up in the House of Commons, that, you know, this is now 4 years ago with the Salisbury attack. Jeremy Corbyn comes to the floor of the House of Commons and he's literally saying the same thing that the Russian ambassador is saying in terms of, well, we don't know that it was Russia. And then, of course, he uses the fact that Angela Rayner had spoken up for Corbyn and supported his leadership when she was in his shadow cabinet, as saying that she thinks he's a strong leader and she can't wait for him to become Prime Minister. But then the Speaker comes in, doesn't he, and he says, this is Lindsay Hoyle, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, and of course he's faced criticism for not being robust enough in terms of challenging the government and what the government talks about, and says, well, actually, you can't talk about, this isn't the pretext of what he's saying is you can't simply just attack Labour. You have to have a response to the actual questions, and it's not good enough to simply say, well...
He's probably been a little bit more robust with Raab than he usually is with Johnson there, I thought, somewhat oddly.
I don't think anybody in Number 10 will be complaining about the fact that he's being robust with Raab. The complaints will come from the government I'd imagine, if he were to take the same quite combative approach with the Prime Minister. But he has done, to be fair, on occasions, but there is also a feeling, particularly on the Labour benches, that he isn't, and the SNP benches, that he's not perhaps as strong. And I think also, just finally, because the SNP's Ian Blackford raised a case that hasn't necessarily received the attention, and I think is going to receive a lot more attention, about the case of, I think it's 50 Ukrainian refugees who are stuck, waiting to come to the UK on a flight from Poland, I hope I've got that right, and they're waiting to come to the UK, and of course the Home Office hasn't yet provided the correct paperwork, and so they can't come to seek sanctuary in this country yet.
Indeed.
Given where the Ian Blackford has raised it, we might well see some movement on that this afternoon.
Theo Usherwood, always a pleasure.
Now, there were a couple of reasons why I thought it was truly fascinating. Was firstly, you can argue whether Angela Rayner's questions were the right questions to ask. My view, I'm not really here nor there, because with this government, you can attack them on so many fronts. I think 6 questions just ain't enough, is it? So, but then I was thinking, why does he keep attacking? Clearly he's talking about Jeremy Corbyn. Why is he bringing Jeremy Corbyn into this? And when Theo and James, when James mentioned Long Corbyn, I went, yes. Well, it's when you think about it, it's genius, isn't it, really? You know, it's fascinating. You know, you'll have those on the Corbyn side who'll be saying, a vote for Keir will be a vote for Conservatives, while be there those who were in the Conservative Party were trying to say, a vote for Keir will be a vote for Corbyn. It's fascinating, isn't it? And then the altercation between Lindsay Hoyle and Tetchy Humanoid Deck Chair Raab. Well, just think, you've clearly got some balls now, but why don't you do it when the real boss is in town? Our Bodger Johnson, he just flagrantly breaks the rules constantly, and he just gets away with it. So I found that fascinating. Did you? Let me know what you think. Right, I shall leave the video here, and until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.